What if the system was never designed for equal outcomes? Imagine two men. Both are 28 years old. Both graduated from the same state university. Both landed jobs in the same city, one at a tech firm, one at a financial services company. Both are earning $72,000 a year. By every visible measure, they are doing exactly the same. Same salary, same age, same starting line. But 10 years from now, one of them will have quietly built $180,000 in net worth. The other will have less than $12,000 and a credit score that's been declining for 3 straight years. The difference between these two men has almost nothing to do with income. It has almost nothing to do with intelligence either. It has everything to do with the invisible financial architecture surrounding each of them. The systems, the defaults, the social pressures, and the psychological traps. Today, we're going to talk about something that most finance channels either avoid entirely or handle poorly. We're going to talk about the racial wealth gap in America, not as a political argument, not as a guilt trip, and not as a motivational story. We're going to talk about it the way an economist would, calmly, with numbers, with honesty. According to the Federal Reserve's most recent survey of consumer finances, the median white family in America holds approximately $188,000 in wealth. The median black family holds approximately $24,000. That's not a rounding error. That's a ratio of roughly 8 to 1. The wealth gap is not only a product of history, it is being actively reinforced today through a specific set of financial behaviors that themselves are shaped by a specific set of social and psychological pressures. Let's go back to our 28-year-old. Let's give him a name. Henry. Henry graduated at 22. He spent 4 years getting his business degree from a mid-tier state school. He took out $38,000 in student loans to do it, which, by American standards, is actually below average. He landed a job at 23, making $52,000. By 28, after switching companies once, he's at $72,000. After federal and state taxes, his take-home pay is approximately $4,400 per month. Rent in Atlanta, a one-bedroom in a neighborhood he feels comfortable in, close enough to his job, in a building that doesn't feel like a step backward, runs him $1,450 a month. His car payment is $520. He drives a 2022 Acura TLX. It's not extravagant by his peer group standards. He financed it over 60 months. Student loan repayment is $390 per month. He's on a standard federal repayment plan. Groceries, utilities, phone, and internet, roughly $600 combined. That leaves Henry with approximately $1,440 per month before any social spending, clothing, subscriptions, travel, or savings. And here's where the architecture begins to quietly close in on him. Henry grew up watching his parents struggle. He watched them get turned down for loans. He watched a neighborhood he loved slowly stop investing in itself. He was told that education was the ladder, that a good job was the destination, and that if he got there, the rest would work itself out. He got there. He is there. And now he is surrounded by colleagues and peers who are casually talking about their investment portfolios, their index funds, their parents' beach houses, and the down payment help they got toward their first condo. Henry doesn't have any of that. He has himself, a salary, and the vague awareness that something is supposed to happen next, but nobody around him grew up doing it, so he has no model to follow. This is not a motivation problem. This is not a discipline problem. This is a knowledge infrastructure problem, and it is disproportionately concentrated. Henry's Acura TLX is financed at 7.4% interest over 60 months on a $22,000 loan. Over the life of that loan, Henry will pay approximately $38,400 in total, meaning he paid about $6,400 in interest alone for a vehicle that will be worth roughly $14,000 by the time it's paid off. If Henry had instead bought a reliable used car for $14,000 in cash, or a modest financed vehicle with a $250 monthly payment, and invested the $270 difference every single month into a basic S&P 500 index fund over 10 years at a historical average of 8%, That $270 a month becomes approximately $49,000. He didn't lose $6,400 to interest. He quietly chose not to receive $49,000 in future wealth. The car isn't just a car. The car is 10 years of compounding. And Henry made this decision not because he's financially irresponsible. He made it because his car is the one visible, controllable signal to the world and to himself that he has made it. That psychological function is real, and it is expensive. Now multiply this logic across the credit card with a $4,200 balance he's been carrying for 2 years at 22% APR, across the new laptop he financed at 0%, which isn't 0% once you miss a single payment, across the trip to Cancun last spring that went on the card because everyone was going and it felt necessary. None of these individual decisions are catastrophic. Together, they are a financial architecture designed to consume the exact margin that wealth building requires. There's a concept in behavioral economics called social proof consumption. It refers to the tendency to calibrate your spending not against your own financial situation, but against the visible behavior of those around you. Every human being does this to some degree, but the intensity of that pressure is not uniform. Research found that Black and Hispanic households controlling for income spend a measurably higher proportion of their earnings on visible goods, clothing, cars, jewelry. The researchers didn't present this as a character flaw. They presented it as a rational response to a social environment where visible signals of success carry an unusually high weight. When you grow up in an environment where wealth is rarely visible, but struggle is common, and then you enter professional spaces where wealth is everywhere, but you feel like an outsider, the natural human response is to use visible spending as a bridge, to signal belonging, to communicate competence. The problem is that the bridge costs money that would otherwise become the foundation. And unlike your colleague whose parents contributed $40,000 toward his down payment, or whose inheritance quietly landed in his brokerage account last year, you are trying to build the same structure with the same salary, but without the same starting inventory. That's not an excuse, but it is a real and measurable difference in the difficulty of the task. Let's look at Henry at 45. If Henry continues his current financial pattern, modest savings, recurring consumer debt, no meaningful investment, his net worth at 45 will be somewhere between $18,000 and $35,000, mostly in his 401k, which he contributes to at 4% to get the employer match, but no further. Now let's look at a version of Henry who, at 28, makes 3 quiet adjustments, not dramatic ones, not life-altering sacrifices. He refinances to a cheaper car. He eliminates the credit card balance over 18 months using the avalanche method, and he increases his investment contribution from 4% to 11% of his salary, directing it into a low-cost index fund. At 45, the second version of Henry has a net worth of approximately $220,000. Same salary, same city, same career. The only difference is the direction of roughly $600 per month and 17 years of compounding. This is not a dramatic story. It doesn't require a side hustle, a startup, or a lucky stock pick. It requires understanding where the margin goes and making a different decision about its destination. The financially intelligent people I've observed across races, across income levels, across continents, share one consistent mental habit. They have separated the feeling of success from the signal of success. They understand that a $520 car payment is not evidence of arriving. It is evidence of a monthly obligation, and monthly obligations are the opposite of freedom. They don't drive cheap cars because they hate themselves. They drive reasonable cars because they have decided that their net worth number is more personally satisfying than their parking lot. They also understand something about compounding that most people never never internalize emotionally, even when they understand it intellectually. You invest $400 a month for 6 months, and your account shows $2,600, and it feels like almost nothing. You invest for 5 years, and it's $29,000, and it starts to feel real. You invest for 15 years, and it becomes the thing that changes your life, not because of any one decision, but because of 180 quiet, unremarkable months where you simply didn't spend the money. The second mental habit is that they have made peace with not being understood in the short term. If Henry drives a 2014 Honda Accord to work while his peers drive leased BMWs, there will be a period, probably a long one, where that choice is invisible. Nobody sees what isn't there. Nobody congratulates you for not buying something. But financial behavior is one of the few areas of life where the most important work is entirely invisible until suddenly, one day, it isn't. The third habit is that they understand the specific landscape they are operating in, and they plan accordingly. Home ownership in Black communities has historically been complicated by discriminatory lending, redlining, and property valuation disparities that persist in documented form today, which means that investment accounts, retirement funds, and liquid assets carry a proportionally higher importance in the wealth-building strategy of Black households. Understanding your actual landscape, not the idealized one, is what separates a plan that works from a plan that sounds good. The wealth gap in America is real. Its historical origins are documented. Its present-day mechanics are measurable. And it will not close through motivation alone, or through policy alone, or through individual financial decisions alone. Henry has a margin. It is smaller than some of his colleagues' margins, but it exists, and it compounds. That's where the real work begins. Not dramatically, not loudly, quietly, consistently, for a very long time. Subscribe.